Hello again, everybody. This is Stephanie again. How are you all doing today? We're starting our third week of sheltering at home, and I hope everybody has enough interesting things to keep them busy at home. Let's see. So this is today's installment of Musings with Stephanie and Maria. Maria is my cohort. She is the chief archivist and tours manager for City Museum. And we had kind of like a talk show format worked out, but this is not working, of course, because we are in separate places. So we're going to continue like this for a while. My name's Stephanie Von Drasek. I am the retail director and City Museum historian by virtue of tenacity, because I've been there a very long time. So that's me, and we are kind of trying to keep communicating with everybody, talking about City Museum and whatnot as we continue to work from home. So let's see, we're supposed to, again, engage our audience for 3 to 5 minutes. Most people that would be hard. I mean, I can ramble for 3 to 5 minutes. I'm not sure how interesting it is. I actually worked, one of my staffs at one point, they, when it said to me, "Hey, Steph, we call you the yammerer." And I had to laugh because I said, yeah, I can see that, Anyway, so once again, Stephanie Von Drasek. I am the retail director and historian at City Museum. And in the last couple of weeks, we've kind of been, hi, Maria. Okay. So in the list, if you're out there, any of you, say hi, let me know that you're there, because I have a couple questions for you today. Anyway, so the last couple of weeks have been exploring, hi Mark, hi baby. In the last couple of weeks, I've been exploring the role of personal collections. Hey Q! Talk about a record collection. Let me tell you, Mike Quinn has the record collection of all time. Anyway, I've been exploring the role of people's personal collections and their experience that they play at City Museum. The personal collections, that's the reason why we have the Architecture Museum. It's the reason why we have the Shoelace Factory, the opera posters, the pinball arcade. If you watched last Friday's lunch special post with hi Mike, with CJ and George in the bug room, super interesting. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, go back and look at it. It was very informative, very interesting. And again, there's something about seeing there's a joy of seeing somebody talk about their own collection, how they got there, how they got stuff, how they got interested in it. And it's kind of interesting. Anyway, so that's something I would like to know. What kinds of things do any of you out there collect? Mike Quinn, I know that you collect records, and you've been doing a really neat series on YouTube at night about some of your records. But what kind of other things do people out there collect, and how did you get there, Yeah, I like the pinball too. And again, all those pinball things, all those pinball machines are one person's collection, and he assures us he still has more at his ranch house. So he's got, well, let's say quite a lot of space taken up with those things. Anyway, so I no longer really actively collect much because I have so much, again, that I will probably not live long enough to look at it. But so my background, before I came to City Museum, I worked in record stores, managed record stores for many years. And of course, music was what gets you there. Of course, music is the thing that engages your interest. But really, one of my main interests in that career was album covers and packaging. I loved album covers, and honestly, once albums switched over to CDs in the mid to late 80s, a little bit of the magic went away, because there's nothing quite like really getting to know the full experience of the music by paying attention to the album covers as well. A lot you can learn there. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. And specifically, some of the things you see behind me, the Joseph Albers album covers. Anyway, so in the 50s, 40s, 50s, album covers were pretty much the domain of art directors. They were either commercial artists, represented just by general commercial artists, or a common theme was the alluring lady, which may or may not have had anything to do with what was going on, but, you know, there is the alluring lady, or the sassy lady in that same genre, or could have been the artist herself as the alluring lady. And some of you might remember J.P. Morgan on the Gong Show later. Same J.P. Morgan from the Gong Show in the 70s. Sometimes it was just a photograph of the artist or the group, as in the Four Roses, and obviously their singing bulldog. They look like they're having fun, don't they? Or there were also some kind of weird sort of ersatz fantasy covers going on. This is, I mean, there's a million of them, but you know, this is one of my favorites. It's kind of like, I can't tell if it's like a paper mache donkey head or a cake or what exactly. But, you know, as Mike Quinn can tell us, there's a million of these. Each one stranger than the last. So, in 1959, there was kind of some of my favorite album covers come from a collaboration between Enoch Light and Joseph Albers. In 1959, Enoch Light was a musician. He had already started two other record companies. Found himself, you know, in the position of management and whatnot. And the end of the 50s, you know, was really kind of a hi-fi revolution. It was a major part of American lifestyle, your records and now your hi-fi stereo. And Enoch Light really wanted to present recordings in a different way. Not just present them in a different way, but really present the very best technical recordings to the public. So he started his own label, Command Records, and he actually created new techniques for recording. He really wanted to put the very best recordings on the market for people. So he created new techniques. He did new arrangements, not only of the music, but physically of the actual musicians. He recorded direct to film as opposed to just tape, and in that way was able to create a superior recording to the usual 2 or 3 track recordings. At this time, he also wanted to physically to present them in a different way to the public. So he entered into a collaboration with Joseph Albers, and these are the album covers that you see behind me. Now, I'm not going to take these off the wall because one thing I have learned about knotty pine, if you get something on a wall, you leave it there. Because it must be among the hardest substances known to man is all I can say. I don't know, but I have quite a time with it. Anyway, so Joseph Albers, as many of you know, is a multidisciplinary artist. He's well known as an early student of the Bauhaus, was asked to join the faculty later on. The Bauhaus, of course, embraced the ideas of modernism and all kinds of different things well, I'm stumbling. There's a lot of people out there with a whole lot more art history knowledge than me. But Albers, just in particular, is I came around to Albers, or came into Albers, because of his color studies and abstract works. Anyway, a lot of people know a whole lot more than me, but I want to stick to the significant stuff here. Albers was among the faculty that decided to close the Bauhaus rather than bow to Nazi in 1933, rather than bow to Nazi controls of what kind of art could be produced. So he and his wife Annie headed to the U.S., where they headed the painting program at Black Mountain College in North Carolina. They stayed there until Albers was tapped to head the design department at Yale in 1949. He left there in 1958, and these album covers represent a very small, just a handful of commercial art commissions that he undertook because he continued to explore his own art. So, Command Records art director at the time, Charles Murphy, had studied under Albers at Yale, and was probably very instrumental in getting Enoch Light and Joseph Albers to meet. Enoch Light's daughter, Julie, had also studied under Albers at the Black Mountain College. So, Albers designed 7 covers for Command for the within 3 years, for pretty much the first 7 releases, I believe. And as you can see, they were very different than anything that you would have seen on the record racks at the time. Remember, we're looking at things like this, racks full of things like this. And then here comes these. These, just beautiful, really striking studies that clearly communicated that these records were something different. This is very... yeah. Oh, nice link, Maria. Well done. Maria has linked with us the interaction of color. It's kind of Albers' seminal work on his theories, studies in color theory. Anyway, so with Command, the lack of theme and the recordings, wasn't a specific piece. These were recordings that were meant to be enjoyed, but also explore the new technology of stereo speakers and that sort of thing. So the lack of theme and the recordings gave Albert latitude to create something graphic and minimal. And then the use of squares, grids, and dots were consistent with his pursuit of his minimalist and most effective way of communicating his intended subjects. Hi, Lori. Do you remember these records at the time? That's cool. Yeah, so all these different, you can kind of see the guys, bouncing, like these little bouncing dots, they could have, it sort of evokes the bouncing of the music. That's a really, really basic way of looking at these. But he really did continue his themes of exploring the interaction between all the different things he was trying to express. So yeah, these used to be, and honestly, Maria, that's part of the reason why I do have extra copies of these, is because these used to be really easy to find. You find them in, in cutout bins or in dollar bins all over the place, thrift stores. And the first 6, and these 6 right here, were really easy to find. There is a 7th, and I have it somewhere, and I think I finally had to break down and buy it on eBay or something, because that one is a little bit harder to find. But, and interestingly too, so Command, had these really nice gatefolds, really went into explaining what you were going to hear, how it was recorded, all that kind of thing. Later versions of this he sold this label, and later versions of these were re-released, much inferior recordings, and even the packaging was broken down just to single sleeves, you know, without the gatefold. And so I would imagine if you got a hold of a later copy of one of these, you'd not have been impressed with the sound. Anyway, so Albers first, these album covers really set the tone for Command's later releases. And I think Command continued to release up till the very early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. But as you can see, Charles Murphy, who, you know, did most of the later releases, really continued to carry forth the same thing that Albers had set forth, and give hi Max, and give a Command kind of a visual, again, another marketing aspect, but a visual theme that, you know, you would know what you were looking at. It's another early Command record. Now, this is kind of interesting because behind me, you see up here, this is persuasive. Hey, how do I do that? How do they do that on TV? Persuasive percussion number 1, which is this one. And persuasive percussion 3, which is this one with the bouncing blue and gray and white or black dots. Those are both, volumes 1 and volume 3 are both Albers designs. Volume 2, which is obviously very similar, but is not an Albers design. So, I don't know, it's kind of an interesting thing. And then, again, continued on with the same thing. So, usually, if you saw something like this, you knew you were getting something special. Now, obviously, when something is a success, and both of those first two sold in excess of 250,000 copies, which at the time was quite a bit, and was done without the normal benchmark of success, which would have been airplay, because these things weren't getting any airplay. So, you know, they were sold probably first on the basis of their visual appeal, and then, you know, later, or if you got that, then you decided you liked it and you went and you bought more. So, however, much later, of course, or as time went on, if something is a success, it's going to get knocked off. So, you started to see a lot of things like this. Perspectives in percussion, and doesn't that look familiar? And it's got the extra added oomph of being, ooh, shiny. But, you know, this is something, who knows? It's a knockoff. It's a Somerset Records, whatever it is. It has nothing to do with Command or with Albers. It's just something that obviously saw success and decided to knock it off. Anyway, so album art since then has continued to be, you know, produced, or fine and contemporary artists have been commissioned to do various album covers since then. Obviously, one of the most famous is the Andy Warhol banana cover for the Velvet Underground, which I don't have right here because honestly, all my records are still in boxes. They have been since we moved, so and I'm not about to take all this stuff down. You all know what the banana cover looks like. There have been numerous Banksy and Keith Haring pieces used for album covers. Jeff Koons most recently did Lady Gaga's album cover for Art Pop. There was a really memorable Max Gashoni. I was about to ask you what you collect, but you missed the beginning of that. Do you collect anything? Anyway, there was and this just breaks my heart just talking about it. There was a really memorable Robert Rauschenberg package, limited edition packaging for the Talking Heads Speaking in Tongues in 1983. That it was so elaborate it actually delayed the production and the issuing of this particular album. Clear vinyl packaging, clear vinyl record, and it had 3 layers inside, and it spun, so you had to spin them in order to get, you know, the full effect, the full view. Hey, Q, Mike Quinn, do you have that? Sadly, I do not have it. And I remember when it came in, I think there's a limited of, I don't know, I want to say 50,000 of them, but I could be way off on that number. I don't know. But when it came in, I remember, and I was working at the store, and it was, you know, 15 or 20 bucks or something. And people I worked with bought it. And at the time, I think we were making $4 an hour, $4.50 an hour or something. So for a $15 and $20 album, you know, I think I probably bought a Culture Club picture disc instead. And now I don't have it, and I wish I did, because it really was a pretty spectacular thing. Mike, you're not answering me. If you have it, I want to see it on tonight's YouTube show. Anyway, so I want to wind up today with one of my favorites. This is a Leroy Neiman. Yeah, there it is. That's a good one, Maria. So a Leroy Neiman 1970 cover for the Fifth Dimension. And, you know, Neiman was prolific, so he has gone so far as to include not just a sketch for the back cover, but this fabulous gatefold full of sketches that he made while they were recording, that he then used in creating the actual cover painting. So anyway, that's kind of a running joke between me and Rick. I don't know, Rick, I don't know if you're watching, but there you have it. There's our Leroy Neiman joke of the day. Anyway, that's what I got for today. Thank you for watching. I keep saying it's going to be better. We're going to get better. I just need to stop umming and ahhing. Anyway, hope that you're all having, if not fun, at least a good time. And, yeah, we'll see you all on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Thanks, everybody. Bye.